Being single in your 30s is one of the greatest fears of women in the African culture. This is because you're expected to get married in your early 20s. And if you're not married in your 30s, then it's sort of a stigma. Today we have with us Lape Soetan, an author and a love coach who found purpose in her personal struggles. Our topic for today is being single in your 30s. My name is Omilola Oshikoya. Welcome to the heart of the matter.
These things sometimes are psychology.
I think the financial cost as one of the many reasons was a God experience. I just wanted to find God, simply feeling like you're inspired. It isn't always so.
Tell us about the solution.
As one
People with 18 to 35 years of age, not out of work.
Hey, I don't have the skill for this particular problem to solve this particular problem.
None of us talked about the bread side.
Welcome back to the heart of the matter. Lape, thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. Okay, so before we start, I'm going to read one of your quotes that says, I should know, I was a single in my 30s for years before I got married. Friends often asked how I stayed happy as a single woman over 30 in Nigeria. Our society can be tough on the older single woman, but somehow I stayed happy and ultimately found the right man for me. It's fun because today, when I was getting dressed, I saw a meme on Facebook that said, I can't stay happy forever. I think it's time that I get married. And so it was really funny because also the person I was saying is like, he's a guy, you know, and he's in his 30s. But can you tell us your story?
Yeah.
And the hardest thing being
wow.
single in your 30s?
I'm not sure where to start. Well, the thing is, I always knew from a fairly early age, like my late teens, that I didn't want to get married really quickly. I knew that I didn't want to marry like right out of university. But in fact, I think the way it was is that in my mind, I thought I would get married about 27. So I just thought, okay, you're just going to have fun in university, you're just going to be playing. So, and then Nigerian universities now, I finished at about 24.
Okay.
So then it was still all well and good, and then by that time I was just thinking 27 is even too close, you know, let's just make it 29. I'm like, okay, fine, cool, we'll get married at 29. So when I turned 27, I didn't have a steady boyfriend. So I was like, I'm supposed to get married at 29. I'm not sure how to, but I'm like, yeah, well, whatever, I mean, you can get married, whatever. Then I turned 29, I'm like, okay, apparently I'm not getting married at 29. So what's going to happen? And then that's when I really started feeling funny. I think people had been asking me questions. My mother had been asking about boyfriends for a while, but I just generally ignored her. And then I think when it became really affected me was perhaps my 30th birthday. And I wanted to have this big, and that's what I did have. I had a big party and everything, and there was no boyfriend, there was no fiancé, there was no husband. And I knew somehow that everybody was thinking, oh my God, the poor girl. I mean, it's her 30th birthday and there's nobody there. But I really had fun that day. I had fireworks and everything. There was a time when I was the only one on the dance. I went all out. I was the only one on the dance floor. Then my family came to join me, you know. So at that point, I was beginning to feel, okay, there's something wrong. People are, you know, telling me that I should get married. But I also knew that it didn't make sense to just get married so that I could say I was married. I was fortunate enough to know that. So I just said that, look, I'm going to stay single until I find the right person to marry. There's no point in just marrying anybody. And then as time progressed and I felt more pressure, I was now thinking, okay, should I just get married so that I can get married? But then at the same time, I think, but I've come this far. You know, I've helped myself so much. Why would I now just dump that and then just marry? It doesn't make any sense, you know? And then one of the final things I did was to say, okay, let's imagine that I'm not going to get married. Let's imagine that I turn 80 and I'm single. What would I want my life to look like? And I think that was the turning point for me, and that was how I started to build a life that I liked. You know, I started imagining, okay, what would I need to do to be happy apart from being in a relationship that would make my life full and rich, even if I end up being 80 and single. And so that was the turning point for me, and that was how.
So what kind of emotions did you feel or experience? Were there feelings of loneliness, insecurities?
Okay. Well, definitely loneliness comes. That one it happens to everybody, and I don't think there's any point in denying it. You do feel lonely, particularly, I think particularly when you're alone. If you are out with friends, you don't feel it so much. Although sometimes when you're out with a friend and she's with her husband or something, you might think, oh gosh, I wish I had that. But I think the loneliness comes more when you're alone, like at night, and you're thinking, oh gosh, am I leading the right life? Is this what I'm supposed to do? But it comes and goes, and that's the important thing for everyone to know. We have to know that the feeling that we're feeling now is not permanent. If you're feeling sad now, you're going to feel good again. We have to remember that life and emotions are in cycles, you know. And there was something I read a while ago, and it said something like, if you're feeling really bad at this point in time, just survive the next minute. Don't think about surviving till tomorrow or just survive the next minute. Survive the next hour, you know. And I know this is really showing vulnerability, but there were times when I felt like that, you know. I felt like you know, oh my God, I've managed 2 minutes and I'm still alive and I'm still okay. So if you do that, you know, don't give yourself this huge goal or this huge target. Just make sure you're okay for the next 2 minutes, then the next hour, and you find out you feel okay again.
So let's talk about the, I don't want to say almighty word, pressure. Family, friends, social media. Can we talk about pressure? Did you feel pressure, and is the pressure real?
The pressure is real. You know, but at the same time, I think I'm lucky, or I was lucky in that my father never even asked me, he never asked me about boyfriends or husbands. He never did. You know, he never put any pressure. I have older brothers. I only have older brothers. And they never for 1 second said, oh my gosh, when are you getting married? But my mother, being a Nigerian woman, she would say, babes, boyfriend, you know, we are not seeing them coming, you know. I'm like, what do you mean? You know, so I just tried to put her. So I have to say that pressure generally from my family was not that much. The pressure I felt more was...
What about like when you go to events
or
extended family events?
I'm not a big
weddings,
person.
What about weddings?
I actually don't go to weddings.
Okay.
This year I haven't been to a wedding. You know, so it depends on your lifestyle. But of course, if it depends on what you want. If, for example, you enjoy weddings, there's no reason why you shouldn't go. If you do enjoy weddings...
But do you think it'd be hard for a single woman to go for a wedding where everyone's talking about, and then she may feel people are looking at her like, you know, even things like when they toss in the bouquet, you find that it's at certain points, some people find it difficult coming out to, you know, catch it.
Okay.
Are these some of the pressures that women feel? Because there are obviously a lot of women that are probably watching us right now, you know.
I have to say that a lot of the pressure I felt was from strangers. So you have to think about that too. And when people that you don't know say nasty things to you, you have to remember that these people don't know you, and really you don't know them. So you have to learn to ignore them. Then friends who were married would sometimes make you feel... You need to develop a thick skin and learn to ignore people. When it comes to going to weddings, you know, part of the coping mechanism is to imagine and to plan things ahead. So imagine what that wedding is going to be. Imagine how you are going to live, you know, how you're going to live through the event. You already know what it's going to be like. Let me give you an example. I never went to, when they were calling people to throw the bouquet. I never went because, first of all, I don't even believe. Apparently, throwing the bouquet is that when the person throws it, the person that catches is going to get married next. So I'm like, I don't believe that that's what's going to happen. It's not about the bouquet, you know. So I wouldn't go. But there's some people that find it for. The rule I think is that if you enjoy something, do it. If you're not hurting yourself, you're not hurting anybody else, do it. If you enjoy weddings and you enjoy going out to the bouquet, fine. You know, if there are people there that try to make you feel bad for being single, you have to learn to ignore them. That's just what it is.
What about social media now? You know, it's so if you don't go to weddings, you know you stay at home, but then almost
People
everyone's on social media now,
yes.
so you can't hide it coming to your phone.
Yes.
How do you cope with that kind of pressure? Because I mean, everybody hashtag weddings or you know pre-wedding shoots, all those things.
You know, it's all about. Gosh, a lot of it is self-control and self-discipline. Unfortunately, even with Facebook, you can choose what you want to see. you know. So Facebook allows you to choose whether you want to see posts like this and things like that. So you can choose. And then, for example, I don't follow event planning accounts on Instagram. I don't. But if there's some people that like seeing like what the venues look like, I think that if you like that, then fine. But you have to know that this pressure, some of this pressure, in actual fact, is even you. You're the one generating this pressure for yourself. If you think about it, you understand. If you look through, for example, there are certain newspapers and magazines that I don't read because I noticed that after that, this has nothing to do with being single or not. It was just general lifestyle. You know, I noticed that after reading some things, I would feel bad. I feel as if the world was about to end and things like that. And I realized that I have to stop reading those things.
So you sort of protect it's a battlefield of the mind.
Exactly.
You have to protect your mind.
Yes, those things are always going to be there. You have to decide what you want. Some of this pressure is really, you're the one that's putting you, like, it's like how I was saying, I'll get married at 27. Who gave me that age?
Exactly.
You know, I was the one that chose, it's not written anywhere. You do this things yourself.
So what about pressure, like, okay, was there pressure to, find just settle, to settle? Because you find that some people may say, you're being too choosy. Did you feel any of those? Or
I
are
always
those valid
remember a
experiences?
particular thing a friend said to me. I have this friend, and we hadn't spoken for a while, and then she's younger than me to make things even more interesting. So when next we spoke, by this time she was married with 2 children. So she now said, Lape, how far? What's up? Are you dating anybody? And I'm like, yeah, not really. You know, she just said, oh, you're waiting for love. No. You will stay there, you know. So first of all, I had to laugh because she likes me and I like her. So I knew she wasn't trying exactly. I knew she wasn't trying to be mean. So first of all, he told me something about her. First of all, and I knew anyway. Even when she was getting married, I knew that she wasn't in love with her husband. It was a marriage of both of us are. This is convenient for both of us, you know. So let's get married. I mean, I guess they're happy and they've been together ever since. So it was clear to me that this is how she thinks, and then I know how I think. I want to marry for love, or I wanted to marry for love. So yes, there was pressure, and people would be saying, "Oh, you are there. You say you're waiting for. I'm sorry for you. Nobody marries for love. Oh, you just marry. You know." So I had to think about that, and then it's also, part of it is also how you handle yourself. I know that there are many people who couldn't say things to me, but they will say it to my friends. You know, they will say things like, oh, she dresses this way, and she doesn't know that she's getting old, you know, and that's why she's not married. But they wouldn't say that to me. And that also reduces the amount of pressure you feel, you understand? So it's also a way, it also depends on how you carry yourself and who you speak to and who you surround yourself with.
So clearly there is pressure, but then you must have your own coping mechanism.
Yes.
Okay, so let's take a quick break.
Okay.
We'll continue after the break. Viewers, stay tuned. Welcome back to the heart of the matter. We're still talking about being single in your 30s. Okay, so Lape, earlier on you were talking about how things changed for you when you decided to ask yourself a question, which was, what would you like to see in your life when you're 80? So from that point, what then happened? What did you decide to do? What changed?
So one day I just tried to imagine the kind of life that I would want to live until I was 80, you know. So I thought about, okay, I want to run my own business. I want to climb Mount Everest or maybe Mount Kilimanjaro. Let's not go too high. You know, I thought, okay, I would have this nice flat that I would decorate in the way I wanted. I have 2 nieces now, but then I had only 1 niece. So I was thinking, oh, my niece will come and stay with me sometimes, and she'll be giving me gist about how her friends and guys were doing this or that, you know. So I just thought, you know, I would have this really great life. I would travel all the time. I would go to art exhibitions. So I was actually coming up with a list of things I wanted to do that were exciting me. I even feel excited now talking about them, you know. So that's an important thing for you to do. Think about things that will excite you and then plan to do them. Sometimes you won't know how you're going to do those things, but it's important to have them. They give you a goal. They give you a reason to live.
What I hear you say is start living and stop waiting.
Yes.
Stop waiting for your life to start.
Exactly.
You can actually start
Yes.
living. So when did you realize that, okay, you could actually help people with all that you had learned?
I had known this for ages. I'd always wanted to help women feel more confident and live the life that they wanted. Everybody I know that's close to me says I'm feminist, you know. But I just didn't feel it was the right time. Perhaps because I'm in Nigeria, I instinctively felt that people would say, oh, how would you advise single women? You're not married. You don't want them to marry because you are not married. So I just said that. So I just said, let me just keep this to myself. But then I got married, and at that point in time in my life, I wanted to take on a project. So I wanted to write a little book, you know. So I took a little survey of my friends and women that I knew, and I said, "Oh, what should I write about?" And he said, "You know what? Write about romance and living life as a single woman." And I was really surprised. I didn't even think it was important to anybody. Some of these women were even married. So I was like, "Oh, so this is important to them. Let me write this book." So I did write that book that is called How to Be a Single Woman in Your 30s in Lagos, which caused a bit of drama on social media. I don't know why. It caused a bit of drama,
No,
but
because
people that read it...
facing these issues.
I know, but the drama that it caused was that, mostly from men, was that, oh, I'm teaching women to be single. What do I mean by that? Women must marry, women must... And what I was really, really very upset. Part of the reason I was upset was because the people who were saying this had not read the book. They just looked at the title and said, oh, yes, yeah, you're just teaching women nonsense. And I'm thinking, that's not it at all.
And this is even after you were married, so you
And
can even imagine what it would have been like if you were single.
Exactly. I just thought, okay, this was timing. So that was when I knew that I had to help other women in that position. I was in that position myself. I knew what I was looking for. I knew what I wanted to read. I knew what I wanted to find, but I couldn't find that. Some of this information you find from women in America or women in the UK, but their own life is kind of different, you know? So I wanted, and so I'm trying to provide what I didn't have. I'm trying to provide information for someone who is single in her 30s like I was, and who was wondering, how do you even navigate this? How do you deal with people who don't mind their business?
And what has been the response from the people that have read your book?
Everybody who reads it likes it, actually, even the men. So the problem is always people who don't read it. And then they just think, oh, it must be like this. But everybody who reads it likes it. And then some people tell me, of course, women tell me, oh, you're saying exactly what I want to hear or how I feel. And which is expected because I was there. So I know how you feel.
Okay, so let's talk about the definition of love. But before we do that, can you tell us about the moment when you met your husband?
That is so weird because there was no moment. We were working together.
Oh, wow.
So, yes.
So even all this while?
Yes.
Wow.
So we had working together for years. Wow. I had dated other people, you know, but there was a time in my life when I said, you know, I'm not even dating people anymore. I just want to live a life I like. And, you know, it's usually, you know, when you're single, you hear it and it's a cliche, but usually when you're not trying to find somebody, that you do find somebody. And so by that time, he was single as well. And because we were friends, we're like, oh, let's just go and have a drink and and then that's how we started.
I think that's very deep and very profound, because I remember when I was meant to go speak to some women at some event, and I remember praying and thinking of what should I say to them, what analogy should I say to them. And then the book of Ruth came to mind. And in the book of Ruth, what basically God had showed me was that Ruth was, and it was difficult for me because I got married quite early. Even then, at 24, there was still pressure, you know, at that age. But people that, so I didn't really know what to say to these women because I could, you married early now, you know what I mean? Yeah. But when I read that book, what came to mind was that Ruth was in her purpose. She was out in the fields, so she was there. She was trying to get food for Naomi, and she was out there doing her thing, and then Boaz found her. And so, and obviously the Bible says, man findeth a wife, a woman chooseth. So it's not a woman's prerogative to find. You will be found. So Ruth was in her place of purpose where Boaz found her. And in your case as well, you were fulfilling and following purpose, you know. You were focused on your life, on living, and you didn't even realize that right there while you were working was where your spouse was, And so that's very profound, basically, you know. So let's talk about love. Love today. What does love mean?
I found that love means different things to different people. It's such a, I wish I could remember what the dictionary definition of love was, but I can't remember. So for me, I think love is that feeling when you want to do more than you would for someone else, more than you would normally do for some random person. When you would want to do that for someone in particular, I think that is love, really.
So in our culture, is our definition of love wrong?
It's very difficult for me in any topic to say something is right and something is wrong. Because I've found as I get older that there are many shades of gray, So I don't even know. It depends on what you think. What do you think our culture defines love as?
Like, for instance, your friend that said, you're looking for love, just marry, do you understand? But it's valid, and she probably feels that way because other people had said the same thing to her. And a lot of people are thinking like that. So clearly there's something wrong because either people think love does not exist.
Well, apparently, if we look at what my friend was saying, for example, clearly perhaps she thought there was something called love, but it's difficult to find, and there's no point in looking for it. In fact, I think I wrote something like that one time. It's like people think of love as like some kind of UFO, It's something that you see on TV and in movies, but it doesn't really happen. And I mean, people talk about it, you hear about it, but really in real life, it's nothing like love. So, but if you live your life like that, then you will find it difficult to find. I believe I'm incredibly romantic, even though I don't act and people don't think I am. I believe that there's something called love. And I believe that if it's what you want, you should wait for it. If you want it, you work for it, you will find it. But if you don't want it and you can't be bothered, then you won't.
And love is not perfect. It doesn't mean either party is perfect. You work on yourself.
There are always mistakes. There's no perfect love. There's no perfect marriage. There's no perfect anything. Let's even just forget that. But it's like if you have loving parents, there is no way you're going to be mad at your parents at some point in time. Your parents are going to be mad at you at some point. That doesn't mean they don't love you. Nobody questions that. You think, oh my God, I love my father. My father loves me. But he annoys you. Doesn't mean that you don't love him.
Exactly.
So love does exist. It's just you have to open your mind and believe that it exists and that it's going to happen for you.
So let's talk about values. So what kind of values should a woman look for when choosing a spouse? Because you find with our generation today, a lot of women are just focused on the wedding. So people are focusing on having this megastar spectacular wedding, and after the wedding, what happens? And then also you see that a lot of people are actually breaking up. You hear things of, I mean, even on, an American celebrity, 72 days?
I think so. I think it was 72 days.
But that's even in Africa. But you're hearing, in Africa now, you're hearing things 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, people are breaking up.
Oh, well, I think weddings in Africa are really they're really extravagant now. But that's a different topic. I mean, I think you should work within your budget, but that's even a separate topic that's not even that interesting. Maybe funny enough, I'm not a very big wedding fan. I don't know. Some people might think that's weird for a love coach, but I'm not very big on weddings. I like the idea of marriage. I love the idea. I think it's so romantic, but weddings I'm not so keen on. So talking about values, the one thing I always say, and I feel like I repeat myself all the time, is go for someone who treats you well, someone who is kind to you, and then secondary to that is someone who is kind to people around you. There's some people that are kind to you alone, but they are very mean to other people. And I see women dating that kind of person, and the truth is that eventually he's going to treat you that way because he is showing you that is the kind of person he is. This goes for men and women anyway. So if you're a guy looking for a woman, look for a woman who treats you well and who treats people around. If she's nasty to the house help, she's nasty to the driver, she's nasty, you can be assured that when you guys get married, you're going to get the taste of that. So just go for someone who treats you well. If you're trying to find somebody, for example, and I always tell women that, please don't just wait and don't just think, oh, he has to pick me. We're waiting, like all of us are waiting in one room and the guy will just come and say, you
come.
No, you get to choose, and if you get to choose, if you get to choose, one of the ways is you need to go out. And I was telling women that even if it's difficult for introverts like me, try to go to the movies by yourself. Try to go to places. And then this lady I know who's single in her 30s, she gave up this long list of, I don't go to the cinema by myself. I don't go to the supermarket by myself. I don't go to the thing by myself. I don't look. And I'm thinking, wow. you have a long list of rules. You know, we have to work on that. So when you're single, you know, do go out. You know, go out by yourself. There's something I mentioned. There was this single lady who was talking to me, and she said, "Oh, there's this new restaurant that just opened. My God, the food is fantastic. The chef is from this one. If at night people come there and this one, that one." She hadn't been there. I said, "Oh wow, this place sounds so interesting. When are you going to go?" I was like, nobody has asked me yet, so I'm not going.
Wow.
Can you, if it's expensive, can you and 3 of your friends gather each other and go there? Can you split the bill? You know, please just go. You know, don't wait for the person that's going to come and take you. For all sorts of reasons, don't wait. So those are some of the things that I think you should do when you're single.
It's so important. I remember even when I was young, before I even met my husband, I remember going to dinner by myself. Yeah. And it was fine. It was okay. You know, we put all these rules on ourselves, and you find that a lot of women are actually not living. They're waiting for life to start. So before we're kind of running out of time, but before we go out of time, so what happens when, rather before we finish, what happens when you meet the person? How do you actually enjoy dating in your 30s without putting pressure on the relationship and yourself, like, okay, this is it. When is he going to propose? You know,
it's very, very difficult, but you have to train yourself to, one, not start planning a wedding once you've met somebody. Please, let's all try that. And you have to, and a good way of doing that is to remember that you are also the person that is going to choose. Don't think that, oh, you're like auditioning for a role. You can imagine that he is auditioning as well. You understand? So you are the one that gets to pick. The most important part is to try to enjoy this moment. There's no other way to say it, and it's just to try to enjoy it.
Yeah. So what is one thing you would want a single person that's watching this now to remember? What is that one thing they mustn't forget?
Enjoy yourself.
Enjoy yourself.
I think that is what it is.
Yeah.
Build a life you love. And then when you build that life, somebody who is right for you is going to want to be in that life. That is
they
what
will be
it is.
attracted
They will
to
be
that
attracted
life.
to that. That is the most important thing. Build a life you love.
I think I would also add to that saying, find your purpose and walk in purpose. I say to my single friends that this is actually your best time, because why I say best time, this is the time that you have with God, that nobody else is trying to, get attention from. This is just you and God. When you get married, you have your husband, you have children, you have in-laws, you have, work, things that you need to focus on. But when you're single, it's just you. So if God says go to Mount Everest, you can, you have that time. So just enjoy it. Yeah. As we round up, I think also it's important to say that at the end of the day, we're all looking for love. Yeah. That's what it is, right? But we shouldn't be looking for love when we already have that love, which is God's love. We have the ultimate love. And once you can bask and enjoy that love, definitely he that sees all things, as he says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things will be added. Definitely, as you bask in his love, as you seek him, he will definitely send you the man of your dreams, of his dreams for you. Thank you so much, Lape, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll have you again.
Yes, I had a good time.
Awesome. And I'm sure if anyone wants to reach out to you, we'll have your details on the screen.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Viewers, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you'd like to reach out to Lape, if you'd like to get a copy of her book, kindly look at the details on the screen, write it down. Please reach out to her. It's important as a woman in your 30s, stop waiting for life to happen. Start living, enjoy your life, fulfill purpose, enjoy your time, like we said. Begin to do things that you want to do. There's so many things you can do. You can travel Nigeria, you can travel Africa, you can travel the world. You can write books. There's so many children that need love, that need help. There's so much you can do. Start living. Thank you very much. Until next week, stay blessed.